Hey everyone, this is an excerpt from my interview with Ali Moin Afshari. If you want to watch the full interview, you can check the link in the description. Before we get started, I have a quick update on Ali's new Trade With Me program. So for those of you who don't know, it's a 10-month program where Ali offers 6 hours of educational content each month on the first principles of market behavior. And then at the end of each month, Ali's going to trade live, show you his screen, and allow you to get a first-hand look at a professional trader executing on these first principles of market behavior. The update I have for you is that we're looking to open registration this month in June of 2025, and we're looking to start the course in September of 2025. For those of you who are interested in TWM and who want to learn more, when you click on the link in the description and join the waitlist, you're going to get access to a course called the TWM Intro Course. This is a free program that we're offering members who are waiting for the TWM launch, and this is meant to help you prepare for the program. So in this free course, you're going to get access to live trades by Ali. So it's a taste of the program. You're going to see live trades from Ali, and you're also going to hear him explaining why he's taking the trade, why he's managing it a certain way, and get his entire thought process of why he took the trade. So this is kind of a short form clip of what you'll get in the real TWM program. In this free course, you'll also get workbook exercises. So you'll get test questions that you can test yourself to see if your thinking is in line with Ali's thinking when it comes to reading price action. And you'll also get the solutions to those exercises. The third thing you'll get is you'll get educational material. This is material that Ali provides to his mentorship group. It's also educational material that is bonus content for the TWM course that is not even available for purchase. So this is exclusive content that you'll get access to by joining the TWM intro course. And the fourth thing you'll get is exclusive course content. So you'll actually get clips from the TWM program before it's even released. So if you are interested in the TWM program, make sure that you sign up for the waitlist because that's the only place where you can access this TWM intro course. You mentioned that a lot of people underestimate how long it's going to take to become a professional trader. There was a slide that you showed me that in a presentation about expectations for proficiency. Can you share that? I feel like it gives people a really good understanding of what to expect on this journey.
Yeah, definitely. So this is that slide. And this is a slide that I use when I'm talking to SA2 candidates, Systems Academy candidates, because people don't realize the amount of time that's necessary to become a trader, really. But this is actually true with respect to almost everything. And especially any business that you're going to set up also follows the same sort of curve. Here we have the skill level, and on the bottom we have time. On the skill level vector, there are two markings: skill level to achieve excellence and the minimum skill level necessary to achieve positive cash flow from trading. This is typically where people say, all right, if I make this much money from trading, I can fire my boss and become independent. That's usually the first goalpost for most traders.
Right.
Now, the expectation that most people have is that here's my first target, and I'm going to be really diligent and really devoted to learning. So I'm going to put in my hours, and the expectation is that we're going to reach this point in a certain amount of time in a linear fashion. Like I put, let's say, 3 hours of study time to learn a concept and be able to implement it. That's not the case. Usually what takes place is, at the beginning at least, the growth is a lot slower. You're still learning, but the learning is sort of not visible to yourself. Like when you think about, okay, can I implement that? No. Can I implement this? No. But in reality, things are happening. It's just that the neural networks that's necessary to be built in your mind is being built one piece at a time. So you have to build it, and then you have to have inner connections as well. All of those things take time to form. So at the beginning, the feeling is like there's no progress, but there is progress. It's just that you don't see it yet. Things are happening behind the scenes, so to speak. So typically, most people take a lot longer to get to the first target. And that time, in my experience, is more than 2.5 to about 3 times their initial estimate. So if you think you're going to be independent trader in, let's say, a year, that's going to be 2.5 to 3 years. But you're going to get there if you keep pushing and don't lose, your steam, so to speak. If you keep doing what you've been doing. And I just want to digress for a second here. A lot of students that I see, they have very high motivation at the beginning. So they are really devoted at the beginning. But the estimate is, okay, I'm going to get there in a certain period of time. No, that's not going to happen. So that becomes a disappointment. They lose that energy, and the energy just fizzles out. And then they wouldn't even get to their targets, not even to the first target. So it's best to look at this as a marathon, that you have to preserve your resources for the long run so that you can stay in the game long enough to actually build the experience and the skill sets that's necessary to even get to the first target, which is financial independence.
Yeah, I think that's why this chart is so impactful, is because understanding your expectations, you're able to manage that disappointment. That if you think that you're going to get there in a year or 2 years and you're so excited about it, when you finally get to that 2-year mark and you don't feel close, it feels like it's not going to happen for me. But when you see this chart and you realize that you're still in that flat portion of that parabolic chart, and at some point it's going to hockey stick upwards, it gives you confidence to temper your expectations a little bit and give yourself time.
Yep. In my case, years ago, there was one day that my wife asked me, okay, so when do you think you're going to be trading the way that you want, at least? And I said, well, I don't know. It's like asking somebody who's studying art to become an artist, when are you going to have your big exhibition and sell, pieces of art for thousands of dollars? The guy's going to probably throw his shoulders and say, well, I don't know. I'm just doing what I can, but I don't know when that day is going to come. And that was my answer to her. But she was very supportive of me. So she said, okay, fine. So at least she was seeing that I'm putting in all my time. So there was no slacking on my part. But I was going through this period, and it was taking longer than everybody expected, including myself. But this is the reality. This is what I've been seeing for a lot of people. So by the time you get to your first target, usually, like if you compare the linear line with the parabolic line, people think they're going to get to the first target here, and it's going to take them longer than this first period of time to get to the second target. But in reality, it's the reverse. It's going to take a lot longer to get to the first target. But once you get to the first target, it's going to take you a very short period of time to get to the second target. Because at that point, there's so much skill and experience already built in to allow the trader to trade independently. Like the financial problem goes away.
Right.
That in itself is a huge relief. Like, when you know that you're not dependent on a job for your lifestyle, you're much more relaxed. So that in itself is going to contribute to your accelerated, performance. Your learning is going to speed up a lot more, because it's like building success on success rather than building something towards success that's not yet been seen or experienced.
Right. And then at that point, so that first target you're talking about is financial independence, firing your boss. The second target you're talking about is wealth, or quote unquote becoming rich and making a lot of money.
Yeah.
And once you reach that first target, what you're saying is that you've removed the financial burden, so the stress, but then also you have the skill set to make money consistently. So now it's more about scaling, less about learning. You're still learning, of course.
Yeah.
But now you've reached that one point where you have that widget that makes money.
Exactly.
And now it's about scaling.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, years and years ago, I was at just above that point. So I was trading at home, was very happy. Things were going on quite well. And I sent a performance graph of my trading for a month to Dr. Brooks, and asked him, Al, what do you think? And I also sent him some information on my trades. And he said, well, this is very good, but 4 years from now, it's going to be completely different. So this is actually what he was implying, that your level of understanding and experience of your own trading is going to be completely different after 3 to 4 years from the point that you're completely satisfied with your trading.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading his email and thinking, this doesn't make sense. I'm doing okay. So
Yes.
what can change? But he was right. And things can change. Things will change because your level of understanding becomes a lot deeper. Your trader's imagination is going to be so much bigger. So you would remember things that happened in the past that if you talk to other people, they're going to be astonished. Like, how do you remember, 3 months ago at 10 o'clock, what happened? But you remember that. And it becomes effortless. That's part of that expanded, trader's imagination and the function of your experience as a trader. And that will allow you to operate at a completely different level. And scaling up actually becomes easier at that point because it's going to be no pressure. It's the pressure is usually there up to the point that people reach their first target, which is financial independence. Once that is achieved, you're building success on success. Scaling up becomes easier. There's usually a lot less stress, or there's no stress. So things start to progress a lot smoother. So getting to the next target, which is like, I'm going to give a stupid, financial example. Like, for example, I want to buy a boat, and a good boat is $500,000 and up. It becomes easy to buy a boat, let's say.
Right.
But, to get to the inflection point that you can substitute your income with your trading, I think that is the most challenging period in a trader's development path to get to that point. And then to see in themselves that, okay, I'm ready to jump ship, so to speak, ditch the job and switch to full-time trading. But once that is done, especially if you switch to full-time trading and you have a number of months under your belt already, like 4 or 5 months, and you're consistent and you're producing what you have been set out to do, then it becomes a lot easier to scale up from there than to get to that point in the first place. That's why this curve looks like this. It takes a lot longer to get to first target. It gets a lot shorter to get to the next target. And at some point, you're going to even exceed the expectations that the linear development had. It's multifaceted. Like for me, for example, I was also programming for my trading. And I had projects in mind that I thought it would not be possible to turn them into code. And it became possible. But to give you an example, the most extreme case was a project I was thinking about for about 4 years. And throughout that period, thinking about it every day, there was no solution. Not at all. Like, there was nothing coming to mind on how to solve this problem. But then one day you say, so what if we try this? And then this is correct. So from a coding point of view, the assumptions that I had for programming, they also changed. Like, at the beginning, there's a lot of trial and error. Like, let's try this, let's try that, turn them into code to see if the code works. In the later stages, it's like, I know that it's one of these three things. It's either A, B, or C. And usually your first guess is the right one. So that's the level of, experience and knowledge that contributes to having a well balance of understanding for everything. And this is in every field. In every field, you have to know enough about it to be able to ask good questions. Because initially, if you're just brand new to something, you don't even know what questions to ask. So being able to ask good questions needs a level of understanding that's not at the beginner level. The beginner level, you're just receiving. You have to listen to someone or read books. You cannot think on your own. But at probably advanced intermediate level, you can start to think on your own and then be able to ask good questions. And then at an expert level, you still have the questions, but you can also come up with a short list of possible answers, and usually the first one is the correct one.
Hmm.
And that's the change that happens. And this goes across the board with everything. It's just not just trading. Every field, to be able to ask questions and intelligent ones means you already know something about that field.
That's a really good point. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.